At this juncture, I would like to call upon the siblings to give us the obituary. The siblings who are here to come and give us the obituary. Thank you.
We'll be reading the obituary of Dr. EJ, who was on this earth for 35 years, but accomplished many things. So bear with us. It's going to be pretty lengthy because he lived a full life, and we want to be able to mention as many things as we can. Evangelist Dr. Ezekiel Handinawangu Jr. was the only son to the apostles of Jesus Christ, Professor Ezekiel Handinawangu and Dr. Junior Guti, the founders and president of Zimbabwe Assemblies of God Africa, Forward in Faith Ministries International. Evangelist Dr. Ezekiel Handinawangu Jr., also affectionately known as Dr. EJ, was born on 13 December 1982 in Mutare Medical Center in Manicaland Province. His family lived at number 6 Murambi Drive in Mutare at the time of his birth. According to the story of Ezekiel Guti Jnr. in the history of ZAOGA Forward in Faith, it is recorded like this. We had been praying for a boy since we had only girls, as you can see. The saints in the church also agreed with us. When my wife was pregnant, we all kept on agreeing and believing that it was going to be a boy. While she was in labor, it happened that the baby turned out to be breech, so coming out legs first instead of head. This shocked the doctor and made him suspect twins. They took her for X-ray and found that it was only one baby with extended head and arms. It was too late to do a cesarean section. By this time, the total heartbeat had stopped. The nurses whispered to one another, thinking that she was not hearing what they were saying. The doctor pulled out the baby with difficulty, and after some time, the baby came out, but he was dead. I was seated at the corner of the room praying. The doctor came to me and said, "It's a baby boy, but we are sorry, he is dead." I phoned the saints to pray. The doctor tried all he could to make the baby breathe and cry, but the baby was dead, and so the doctor left. The nurse just left the dead baby on the trolley instead of taking it to the incinerator. She got busy with other things. Meanwhile, people continued to pray. The father also kept on praying, wrestling with the spirit of death. After some time, the nurse came back, wanting to take the dead baby away. To her surprise, she found the baby was breathing. She also called the other nurse and doctor. Oh, there was great joy. They put the baby in an incubator and with concentrated oxygen, and he stayed with oxygen for 3 days and finished 4 cylinders of oxygen. The baby was swollen all over. You could not distinguish the nose from the mouth. The eyes and head were also badly swollen. The doctor said there were 50 to 50 chances of the chances of the baby to live. The next day he came back and said, "I'm sorry, there is no chance. The baby is going to die." Mrs. Guti, our mother, disagreed with the doctor in Jesus' name. The baby was not going to die. They even thought she was insane. Most of the time, she just stood by the incubator with the baby and said these words, "You are not going to die, my baby. You came from God. I'm going out with you alive. I'm not going back home alone. The servant of God is praying for you, and the saints. Devil, you are a liar. You cannot kill our son."
And the baby away. But to her surprise, she found the boy breathing. She called other nurses and the doctor. A great miracle had happened. and oh, there was great joy. Today, his baby we are talking about has grown to be a great man of God. He is married to a beautiful wife and has 3 kids. He is now a doctor, a great evangelist, and a book writer. One of his books is entitled The Man Who Defined Condition.
And showed all signs of intelligence and refused to be identified with the handicapped. The nurse just in 1985, he attended his nursery school at home, and his teacher was Mrs. Tafamombe. She used to come home to teach him as the parents were waiting for the place at St. Giles School. In 1986 to 1987, a young man by the name Sam Mlambo was helping Evangelist Dr. E.J. doing physiotherapy. Sam Mlambo is the first believer to be evangelized by Evangelist Dr. E.J. to receive Jesus Christ. Abisha Mshango took over from Mrs. Anagomo for a period of 8 years. He continued caring for Evangelist Dr. E.J. to the last day of his life. He became the overseer to all the caregivers deputized by Elder Philip Saurai, the long-time caregivers for Evangelist Dr. E.J. Evangelist Dr. E.J. in his early stages as a child used to pray for people who would come home to be prayed for. His parents, as the servants of the Lord, would accept and honor his prayers. In 1990, Evangelist Dr. E.J. got a place at St. Giles where he attended his primary education from grade 1 to grade 7. At St. Giles School, he was so much loved by his headmaster, namely Mr. Neil Peterson. Evangelist Dr. E.J. was a popular figure at St. Giles School. He was the first child at his school to have a laptop. Evangelist Dr. E.J. used to go for physiotherapy at St. Giles, but it wasn't enough for him. A certain woman from Kambozuma by the name Mrs. Ethel Mzanamombe, a physiotherapist who used to work at St. Giles, volunteered to help doing exercises for Evangelist Dr. E.J. after her working hours. Every Wednesday in the afternoon, she would go to the house to help Dr. E.J. with exercises. During his primary school days, Evangelist Dr. E.J. had a tight schedule. After school every day, he would eat. After eating, he would do his homework, then exercises at home. He used to walk to his own, on his own, not in a wheelchair. He used to like his tricycle so much that we would use it as the opportunity to encourage him to do his homework and exercises.
He was a very intelligent young man who refused any limitations. He used to go to Amphi Garage in his orange work suit to fix cars with the mechanics. He loved to work and try to do anything that would challenge him. He was a caring someone who would go to Forward in Faith Children's Home in Mutare to spend time with the children, eating together with them, as well as sharing rooms with them during the night. He used to do this every year. He accommodated everyone in his life. He was not a selective person, but he was a man of the people. He had no limitations whatsoever. If he wanted something, he would push for it. In 1997, a young man by the name Peter Lakama Simango took over as a caregiver for Evangelist EJ for a year. In 1998, Philip Taurai took over as a caregiver for the evangelist as he finished his primary level at St. Giles School. After primary school, Evangelist EJ attended Amphik Bible School before leaving for the United Kingdom to study IT. As he was studying in the United Kingdom, he had a dream to evangelize and also the desire to marry a wife. During his period of study in the UK, he managed to drive a car by himself without anyone in the car in Leeds. He drove it for 200 miles until the clutch was down. This was always his desire, to drive a car. This was a miracle. In 2002, September, Evangelist EJ returned home from the United Kingdom. He attended Amphik Bible School before the formation of his crusade team, which is known as Ijia Gospel Moving Team. Musa Stole took over from Philip Taurai in caring for Evangelist Dr. EJ from 2003 to 2005. The baton was handed to Brian Magada from 2006, giving it back to Elder Philip Taurai. Pastor Danny Chenai took over from 2010 to 2014, who passed it on to Blessing Winde from 2014 to the last day of Evangelist EJ's life. In 2003, Evangelist EJ proposed to Pastor Caroline Katande in January, and they both wedded in April the same year at Amphik. It was a wedding of the sanctuary, which was attended by people from many different parts of the world. His dad, his loving dad, the servant and apostle of God, Apostle E.H. Guti, was the marriage officer. The wedding was a miracle wedding. A great recognition to Overseer Chauke for the great role he played in finding a great wife for Evangelist EJ, the Makayi. In 2004, Evangelist EJ and Pastor Carol were blessed with a baby girl, Ezekiel Junior Guti, on 19 April. It was a great joy to the whole family at large. People celebrated all over the world. 2005, the crusade team was formed and started with the first team members being Evangelist EJ, Pastor Carol, Deacon Philip, and Nelia Taurai. The crusade began with a keyboard and one speaker. The vision for the crusade grew and expanded. A PA system was bought by the servant and apostle of God, Professor E.H. Guti, and the team had a uniform. The crusade had its first manager as Overseer Tinashe Jabangwe, who is now based in South Africa. Then came D.P. Chitereka as the second crusade team manager. Thirdly was Pastor Truth Piri from 2010 to 2013, and then Pastor Eddie Mushangwe. In 2006, Evangelist EJ and Carol were blessed with a second child, a boy by the name Ezekiel Handinawangu III, on the 22nd of April. In 2007, Evangelist EJ's first crusade tour outside Zimbabwe to South Africa for 3 months. He preached at the Expo in South Africa. He preached at the Expo in South Africa for a few months, and for a few minutes, and people experienced the power of God. That evening, Overseer Zinatsa came down from the stage in a shock because of the great power of God. Even Dr. Yuna experienced the same fire as she hugged him
after he came down from the stage. In 2008, the team embarked on a Mozambique crusade tour of duty in Maputo, then proceeded to Lesotho. In 2010, on the 24th of October, he held a crusade in the remote areas of Muzarabani and Hoya, where there's no network and very high temperatures. With not so good facilities for him, but he had a great desire and compassion to win souls for Christ. In the same year, Evangelist Dr. EJ went to Botswana in Kasane on the 2nd to the 5th of December. In 2011, Dr. EJ had a crusade tour of duty in Namibia from the 26th of November to 6th of December. In the same year, at the Mutoko Expo, he preached for 5 minutes as a forerunner, and the ground was turned upside down and shaken by the presence of God, followed by signs and wonders. In 2012, he went back to Mozambique for another crusade. Dr. EJ went to the USA for a 3-month tour after he was invited for the Deeper Life International Conference as a speaker. Evangelist EJ had a very big vision for crusades, which couldn't be able to be accommodated in the church building, and now wanted to move to the stadiums. In 2013, God opened the door for him to tour Canada for 2 months, preaching the gospel, followed by signs. Many people saw God's hand as he was ministering the word. At the end of 2013, God blessed the couple with their 3rd child by the name Dorcas III. Evangelist Dr. EJ and Pastor Carol celebrated their 10th anniversary wedding in that same year. In 2014, Dr. EJ had a tour of duty in Australia for 3 months, where God did a tremendous work through him. He received his honorary degree in the same year for the great work he did, as he undoubtedly defined the condition that he had. In 2015, he went for the 2nd time in the UK as an evangelist on tour of duty, going around in every province, preaching and ministering deliverance as well as healing, followed by signs and wonders for 3 months. In the same year, he was invited to Jairus Jiri in Harare. In the same year, he was invited to Jairus Jiri in Harare in November. He then had a vision to build a disabled school. His parents will make sure the school is completed. If anyone wants to help with the project, they are more than welcome. He had time to discuss with his mother about the vision for the disabled school. And on their last conversation, as he escorted them to the airport, Dr. EJ reminded her of the vision. In 2017, Evangelist Dr. EJ and Pastor Carol were invited to the US as speakers for the Deeper Life International Conference again. He preached in every state in America from June to October. Soon after the USA trip, he flew to Mozambique for a weekend crusade. He was also invited to preach at his former school, St. Giles, in addition to the local Paralympics organization. He was someone who loved to celebrate his birthday every year with a special cake. As he grew older, he liked to organize his own parties. Carol organized his 35th birthday celebration on the 13th of December 2017, and the family had an extraordinary, joyous time with Evangelist EJ that evening. Evangelist Dr. EJ was a giver who gave generously. He gave his first crusade car to Chivu province. He gave his second car, a Toyota Caldina, to the Grange School.
When he was in Australia in Adelaide, he gave some money towards the car for the pastor. He also gave 10,000 towards the church van in Broome, Australia, for the indigenous people. Evangelist EJ donated instruments to one of the assemblies in Belize, Punta Gorda. He also donated 2.5 tons of maize to Jairus Jiri associations. He would give without hesitation for any church contribution. As a Sunday school child and a young generation member, he used to work Tin Mission Fund, which is now ODCF, and was always number one. The love for giving would drive him to give even every dollar in his pocket. He also knew how to minister to the seniors, such as the bishops and the overseers whom he worked with. His love for people was genuine and great, such that he would visit them in their homes and hospitals. He didn't care whether it was in the cities or the rural areas. Down in remote places, he would still go without hesitation. Evangelist EJ was a pastor of pastors because he would listen to them and give wise counsel. He was a very powerful teacher on marriage and was often invited to speak at bachelor parties. When it comes to missions, he was an outstanding giver and would give big money each year. As for talents, he worked hard alongside his wife to ensure she would be number one, as he used to be number one as a child. Evangelist EJ's favorite remarks: do not look at the outside appearance, but look at the inside person. Though his body was disabled, he was very normal on the inside and considered very intelligent. He had books like The Laws of Leadership memorized, the Guidance, Rules, and Policy of ZAOGA Forward in Faith Ministries. He also memorized those books. Evangelist EJ loved his parents very much and would do anything for them. And whenever they would speak to him, he would listen and obey. He used to say, "Mwana wa nurse eats chicken only. A nurse's son will only eat chicken." His love for chicken was unparalleled, as witnessed by many. He sure loved his chicken. Whenever his mother was looking for someone to go with to preach, he would say, "Mom, I'll give you Carol to go with you." Evangelist Dr. EJ loved his wife and children very much. He told Carol on a daily basis and sometimes several times each day that he loved her. His last words to her before he went swimming were, "I love you, Carol." She will forever cherish these special words and the 14 years of a beautiful marriage. Whenever he was home, he made it a priority to take his children out to dinner and for fun activities. He was a very involved father who planned holiday trips for his family and invested time with them. On occasion, Dr. EJ would take his family on the mission field, him and Carol. As a loving husband and wife, he always brought presents for them and those who assisted him. To his sisters, he was their only brother who loved and protected them. Even from the mission field, he would call and check up not only on his children, but his sisters and their families. If you didn't pick up the call the first time, one would find numerous missed calls from him. He was a fun uncle and always generous to his nieces and nephews and relatives. With a great sense of humor, he shared joy and happiness to all whom he came across. Evangelist Dr. EJ had his purpose from God, which he accomplished in his 35 years on this earth, and has now gone to be with the Lord, whom he loved and served faithfully. The man who defied all odds, a life well lived in the kingdom of God.